And I just want to give a disclaimer, okay? This channel is not about race, but this video will have some race content in it, okay? I do not want to offend anyone. That is not my intent. I don't want people to feel uncomfortable. I just want you to know my experience working in these shops, okay? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about commission. So for the most part, all of the salons that I worked at, well, let me break down these salons, and we're gonna call it, like, depending on if we have to do reference to these shops, there's going to be shop A, shop B, and shop C. Okay, so shop A was the very first nail salon I worked at, hands down. The very first one, straight out of nail school. I still had my my permit. Like, I was not quote unquote licensed. Like, I did not have my nail license at that time. Okay, so that was shop A. Shop A was very much like the most, well, no, it was definitely 110% the most organized Asian-owned salon I've ever been to. But I also feel like it was in a very white neighborhood, like very. So if you have, I'm just gonna give you a backstory. I live in Ohio. I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but I live in Ohio. Okay, so in that neck of the woods, like, it was very, very white. And when, listen, I'm like, white people tip good. Okay, so I love that salon. That salon was very much like dip nails, gel nails, and pedicures. And every time they tipped. They tipped for the toes. They tipped for the hands. If they were two different, they was tipping, baby. Like, oh God, they was tipping. I miss that salon, I ain't gonna lie to you. But so I feel like that shop was very more like spa related, but it wasn't a spa. It was for sure a nail salon, but it gave spa feels. Okay, it definitely gave me stay-at-home mom trying to get away from her kids while her kids were in school, or it just gave me very much that type of vibe. Okay, cool. So that was salon A. Salon A was very, very, very busy, like 110%. Okay, like, there is no possible way. It was just very busy. Okay, now let's go to shop B. We're gonna come back into this. Okay, shop B was the total opposite of shop A. So, like I said, shop B is the second shop I went to. I was fired from shop A, so I went straight to shop B, and we'll talk about why I was fired. So shop B was, it wasn't in the hood, but it was dedicated, I feel like, to Black folks. Okay, so it did only acrylic. Well, you know, its thing was only acrylic, but you know, it offered manicures and stuff like that. But a lot of people came for acrylic nails and pedicures. Okay, but the owner was going through a divorce, and she was like it was a very nasty domestic violent type of divorce. So she ended up having to shut her shop down to like, basically she couldn't handle running a shop and the responsibilities of that, not having a lot of people coming in because the business was going on a downhill. She had 5 employees, a total of 4 or 5. Me and another chick that was basically only could do pedicure, and her and another chick that could only do acrylic. So imagine just being busy on Friday, Saturday, and everybody wants acrylic, but only 2 people can do acrylic, but they see 4. And me and the other chick just sitting around like, because we can only do pedicures or manicure, but people don't want that. Okay, cool. So then that was shop B. That's when I went back to driving after that, because that was during the separation. And I was like, I need money. So I went back to driving. Okay, cool. So then after driving was like, I'm over driving. here recently, well, not recent, it was last year, I went to another shop. Now, mind you, let me go back. Shop A and Shop B were both, the owners, I believe, both of them, I know the first one for sure, was Vietnamese, okay? But I'm going to tell you about Vietnamese, okay? Remind me, okay? So then the third one, I believe she was Vietnamese too, the owner. And that one was definitely a good mixture of the first one in Shop A and Shop B. It was definitely a good mixture. I actually really didn't have too much of a problem there, in a sense. Like, the shop was good, it was busy, it was ready. It was a normal, like, it really was nothing too crazy about that shop, okay? So Shop A, Shop B, Shop C. Okay, so let's get into commission. So when I experienced working in an Asian-owned shop, it was rather, I've always experienced 60-40. They get 60 and I get 40. Or it was a 50-50, but I've never, because I was new, so I never got the 50-50. And the first shop, which pissed me off even more, which was like the Shop A, they did it where they did the 60-40, but in order for me to get clients, they did like, I think, a 15% off to the client. So like I really wasn't making any money, and it pissed me all the way off. Okay, like, I'm trying to make all this come together, but I don't want to skip ahead. Okay, I don't want this video to be too long because I'm not trying to edit it. But so yeah, so Shop A was definitely like giving clients discounts so that me and another chick. Now, mind you, me and this other chick, we went to school together, we graduated together, like we were in the same class together, like we were cool, okay? Cool, fine. Keep that in mind. So, Shop B, she said at one point in time that it was going to be 60-40. I got 60 and she got 40. And I think 1 to 3 people complained to the point that she flipped it, that she gets 60 and I get 40. And I'm like, okay, like, sure, go ahead. Like, you know, whatever. Now, mind you, if you don't know, the reason why they do that is because they supply all the products. You know, you basically just show up and all the products are available to you, right? Okay, cool. And then I believe the last one, I don't know if it was 50-50 or I think she might have been 50-50 now that I think about it. I wasn't there long enough to get a paycheck. We'll talk about why in a minute. So yeah, that was the commission thing. And then you got to keep all your tips, which was cool. I don't really like that, the whole 60-40, 50-50. I don't care if you are supplying those supplies. Like, I want all of my money. I want 110%. That's just me. Okay, so then my next thing is too busy to teach. And what I mean by that was, especially at Shop A, like when I say she was so busy that I basically could only do pedicures because that's what I really knew how to do out of nail school. And then also they have a theory that because you're sitting up in a chair, so when you're like, you know, when you're doing your manicure, like you're like watching and all that extra stuff. Well, if you're a new nail tech, that's kind of like nerve-wracking or a little nervous. So if they're the distance between that person's eyes and their toes is a little bit farther than their hands or whatever. So it's like, okay, you can do pedicures and you'll be perfectly fine. So, but it's like, if you don't want to be on pedicures, or you, like, I definitely feel like in an Asian-owned shop, you're more than likely going to be on pedicures, especially starting out, because it's like, if you don't know anything or if you're not fast or anything, you're just basically going to be on pedicures. And I've experienced in the shops that they would say, oh, I'm going to teach you, especially Shop A and Shop C. They were like, oh, I'm going to teach you. But they could not teach me because literally they had clientele. Everybody would come in. I want her. Or we don't have enough time. Or, you know, it would be like for Shop A, she would have us come in like, let's say 20 to 30 minutes before the shop opened. But then we had to prepare for when the shop was about to open. So it really wasn't too much teaching. And then the teaching was on a practice hand, kind of like school in a sense. So it was like, but I want to learn how to do acrylic, or I want to learn how to do whatever. And also another thing that I noticed about that was with Shop A, the owner was the only one who knew how to do acrylic. And she was not trying to teach how to do acrylic because her shop that wasn't the main thing. And I'm like, I get it, but if I want to learn how to do acrylic, because somebody did come in the shop asking how to do acrylic, and the one person was too busy to do it. I'm like, see? So it was just kind of like, no. They basically can't teach you unless the shop is slow. And then with Shop B, I experienced that where it was slow, but her clientele did not want to go to anybody else. Like, they came to her for a reason. And I'll talk about clientele in a minute, okay? So let's go to, we're going to talk about pedicures. So basically, pedicures only, maybe manis, is basically you're more than likely are going to be on pedicures the whole time. And then if it's so busy and somebody wants a manicure or gel mani, then you might get tossed on that, right? But for the most part, pedis and manis, and you basically have to prove yourself to go to the next step, but they're so busy that you damn near can't go to the next step, so you stuck on pedicures. Yep, that's what I experienced. Okay, I have clients only wanting an Asian. So when I worked at Shop C, this Asian chick, she was cool. Now, she was really, really, really cool, okay? And she was just like, I guess at Shop C, there was a black nail tech but she was like, she'd been in the biz for a minute. And so she left to start her own, right? I'm like, okay, cool. So she was like, listen, I just want you to know right now up front, so there ain't no issues, but like, people aren't that welcoming of black nail techs, at least in this shop. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, thanks. Now, mind you, I'm the only black chick in this shop. And I'm like, but she's like, you know, her husband's black. Like, she's like one of those Asians. So I'm like, okay, I could get what, like, you know, I'm not thinking it's coming from a different type of place, right? So I'm just like, wow, okay. So then she said something else, but I'm gonna tell you it's further down on the list, but I'll tell you something in a minute. But I kind of experienced where, so, for example, I was giving a guy a pedicure, and I was new at Shop C, so they basically let me shadow someone, which happened to be an Asian woman, and it was a black guy, and he said, "No offense, sister, but I like when he called her, she got offended. He called her a Chinese woman when she was actually Laos. And so she was like, just say Asian because I'm not Chinese. But he basically said that he only wanted a Asian woman to give him pedicures because they know what they're doing. I said, oh, okay, cool. So I was like, okay, I guess homegirl didn't lie. So that was my experience thus far. And there's a little bit more to it, okay? So then, this is the number one thing that I don't like working in an Asian-owned salon is basically unknown products. We all know about MMA, illegal products, all that good stuff. But it's just like, they're products you really don't know what it's hitting for, what's it about, like, is this really like, I don't know. And then like their products, I tried using their monomer and their clear. It's a different type of whatchamacallit, but I also feel like Asians are fast. So I feel like it may have been fast setting or something like that, because when I say I put that bad boy in, it was not moving. But I think because Asians are fast, they're like, I need my shit to move and set type shit. I don't know. But, you know, just unfamiliar products. And it's like, you know, they don't use colored acrylic, at least the shops in where I'm from. They don't use colored acrylic, so it's all about gel polish. And I'm like, no, I want colored acrylic. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And then going with the products is like they like to cut corners, and that is a good and a bad thing. Okay, because like, you know, sometimes they don't like to be too sanitary. I don't want to, but then I also feel like like for example, is their paper towels. Like they would cut the paper towels and like so that you would use literally all that you had to use. Like they did have some good methods on like, oh, I didn't think of that. Like, wow, that was actually kind of smart. Like, I need to, you know, so like they do have good tactics. Or like, I don't like it when nail polish or gel polish is getting low and then I'm ready to like chuck it because I just feel like they're like, no, let's get some paint thinner. I'm like, oh, God, I hate this. Or when it's like, you know how when it's like low, they be like, no, just throw the shit away and get the next bottle. Like, that's just me. I'm not about to sit here and go through all of that. But that was their cutting corners. Okay, I feel like I touched on this a little bit, but it's saying having a set clientele that isn't interested in new techs, white salons have deals for them. So basically, I have interviewed for the W Nail Bar, and I thought about going to Charles Penzone's. And so when I was in school, they were basically saying that they like with the white salons. And like I said, I'm not trying to bring race into it, but it does play a part. I'm sorry. But like in the white salons, they actually have stuff set up so that it's like, I feel like it doesn't really affect you or like you don't feel it for real. Because it's kind of like, it's like, at least for the W, the way they explained it to me was kind of like you go, like, you don't hit the floor yet. And then it's like, they still try to bring you clientele. I don't know how to explain it, but they basically have things set up so that when new techs come, it gives them a deal, but it's not too much affecting you. Like, it's just like, it's something totally different. Whereas in the Asian salons, I really do believe that if anybody decides that they're going to go to an Asian salon, they decided that they want some Asian woman or Asian man to do their nails. Like, I don't feel like if they go to an Asian shop and see a black woman there that they want to get their nails done. Because if that's the case, I'm pretty sure this black nail tech in your city doesn't work in a shop. That's just my theory. So, like, that's what I experienced where it was like, oh, he like, hey, I'm still doing this person's nails. It's going to be like another 30 minutes to an hour. But here's my new nail tech. And you want to 15 whatever off. No, I'll just wait for you. Okay, bitch. You want to get your toes done? No, I wasn't really trying to get my toes done. I just want to get my balance. Whatever. That's what I experienced. Okay, cool. This is a big one that I just could not. And this was almost the number one reason why shop A and C did not work for me. Was they want you to overwork yourself and be fast like them. So, meaning, for some of the shops, I think it was 11 to 7 was a shop C. And I can't remember the hours for shop A. But all I know is shop A and shop C were owned by a husband and a wife. And that was their baby. That was their dedication. So it was kind of like when they have employees, they want their employees to basically be as dedicated to their shop as they are, as if we don't have our own life. And then it was kind of like, you sure you don't want to? Like, it's extra money. Like, I know, but I gotta go get my kids from the babysitter that closes at 7. And like, I can't, you know. And shop C was definitely like, okay, I understand that you have a life, or I understand, but like, there's a client that just walked in. She was a pedicure. Can you do it in 30 minutes? Like, no, I can't do a pedicure in 30 minutes. I'm sorry, not that fast. Like, I can't do it. And it was just kind of like frustrating, at least for me. Lord, this one I experienced the most at Shop A. Like, Shop A can go to hell. At least the worker. Cattiness and two-facedness. And you're like, Asia, that's the Amy shop. Oh, buddy dog, it's something different when they speak a different language. Okay? So, let me tell you. Okay, so they'll talk to you in English and everything will be okay. Like, oh, like I can't get my shaping down, or oh my gosh, the application of this gel polish, or whatever the case may be, right? Okay, cool. So then I'm like, then they go talk their language and it's like, what'd you say? Or it's just so you can feel it. You can definitely feel it. Like at Shop A, homegirl was over my shoulder watching me, and then she, in her language to the owner, like, wait a minute now. Wait a minute, what you trying to say? Say it in English. I'm just saying, like, Shop A left a bad taste in my mouth. This is another thing I experienced at Shop A and Shop C. I don't even know if Shop C was unlicensed. One of the nail techs was unlicensed, but I promise you, in Shop C, there was one nail tech that had 3 different names. I'm like, how? And it wasn't like, oh, Bob, Bobby, and Bobo. No, it was like Susie, Mary, Martha. I don't fucking know. Like, it was like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, but then if you're not Asian, oh, they're on you about your license. And I'm just like, half of y'all ain't even licensed. And the other girl at Shop A wasn't licensed either. I got bad beef with her. Now, remember when I told you the Asian at Shop C told me, like, basically black thing to welcome in that shop? Another thing that she told me, which unfortunately I hate to say is true, that I experienced, is tipping. Like, they don't tip black folks. Like, I'm like, what? Like, damn, like, what? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna tell you. So I was like, okay, cool, like, whatever. Man, when I say homegirl was right, she was right. So we had a couple, right? And it was a husband and wife, and it was me and one of the Asian chicks. We also went to school together. Okay, cool. The Laos chick, right? So she's doing the wife, I'm doing the husband. The husband's feet is tore up, like horrible, like toe curling, like thick, like really horrible. I'm slaving, like the wife talking about I'm slaving, like, damn, like she really doing a good job. Your feet look good, like all of that. This man leaves. The wife tips her whatchamacallit, but the husband don't tip me. I'm like, what? I've literally experienced that 2 other times, and they're like, oh, Asian, what a bad service. Yeah, to be honest with you, and I hate to say it like this, every white person that came in that shop tipped. I don't want to seem like it's like a race thing. Like, I don't want it to be like that. I really don't. Oh, I feel so bad, but I'm so serious. Like, that is literally what I experienced, where it was just like, oh, I'm cringing saying this because I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. Like, I really don't. Like, matter of fact, I just don't feel like I'm going to the next topic. Okay. So I have order first service. Oh, okay. So another thing that I really did love about Shop A was that when I got out of sorry, camera cut off. But I was saying, when you're in nail school, there's orders for the things that you do. Like, you do your pedicure this way, you do your manicure this way, like, and then, you want to do it the same way. So for state boards, like, you have it, right? But when you get out in the real world, some shops is like, just give them a pedicure and make their, make it seem worth their money, which I experienced in Shop B. And I'm like, how do you want me to do your, or I'll ask her, like, hey, what comes in your pedicure? And then I'll do what she says to do. And then she's like, no, don't do it that way. I'm like, but you told me that this, and then like somebody was like, so her pedicures was $25 and $35. Literally the only difference was, I don't even think there was, a longer massage. That was the difference. $10 more for a longer massage. And she was like, a longer massage, but I still get the towels. And she was like, $25. I said, thank you, because I don't feel like doing a longer massage. But I'm like, whatever. But with Shop A, it literally was scrub, this, that. Like, it literally had order. And I love that. And I also feel like Shop A didn't do it kind of like, oh, you have to pass in order to go to the floor, but it was something like that, where it was like, you didn't, like, she was on it. Like, Shop A was definitely on it, where she was like, if you do not get pedicures down, then you cannot do a manicure. If you don't get manicures down, then you cannot do dick. Like, that was what she was on. And But I would say like with the white salons that they do it where it's like you basically have to, let's say, get 3 people and then practice on them, and then if they say it's cool, then you can go on the floor. Like they know that you know, like they want to teach you their way so that everybody in essence is doing it the company's way, which I do like that. Because like I like order, like I like to know that this is what you're gonna get. This seems like it's worth the price, and la 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 la. Okay, so that's all of the things on my list. Let's talk about Shop A really quick because this video is kind of long. The reason why I got fired from Shop A was because I truly feel like there was a conspiracy out there. Like, obviously you can tell I'm chocolate, right? I'm a chocolate girl. So the girl I went to nail school with, she's light skin, like light skin, like very comparable to their skin complexion, light skin, but she's black. So I definitely feel like I stood out. And they wanted me to polish toes a certain way. And I could not get their method down to save my life. And what it was is they basically wanted a U shape by the cuticle. They did not want any other way. If you cannot do a U shape by the cuticle, basically you gotta go. So this is how it works in an Asian shop, okay? Me and the shop manager, that was not pronounced, I'm gonna talk about the shop manager, okay? So basically when we were introduced to everybody, it was 2 other people. It was 2 nail techs, right? Okay, cool. So I'm having a hard time getting this technique down because I'm like I told you, I went to cosmetology school before, so it was kind of like 3 stripes. And like, I'm like, okay, like it's still the same thing. Like I cannot get this U-shaped shit down. Like, can we move on? No. So then I'm doing this lady's toes. Everything was fine. Homegirl, shop manager, came up. I leave. Like, I'm done with the service. I'm cleaning up my stuff to take the next client. Apparently, she decides, so I don't know what happened because I wasn't there. All I do know is that when I came back to get the rest of my stuff, you did this wrong, you did that. Busy, like this is 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. After everybody get off, I told you Shop A was popping. So Shop A was busy as hell, you loud as hell. Like shit was embarrassing. So the owner, the husband was in the back. And I'm like, on the floor, I'm like, okay. Because I'm not trying to be the black chick that turned the fuck up in a white salon. I'm like, okay. I'll be right back. Okay. Take my ass in the back, and I'm like, yo, like, I don't like how, like, she didn't have to do that. Like, I was already in the back. You could have came to the back and said, hey, Asia, you didn't do a good job, or the client is complaining, or whatever the case may be. Like, there's so many different ways you could go about it than doing it how you did. So I said, I'm like, no. So then the owner's husband, the owner, he's like, hey, everybody's job's important. Let's not, like, calm down. I'm like, okay, like, I'm not quitting because I need this job. But she out of pocket, right? Okay, cool. So then I go home. Now, this is 7 o'clock, right? So he's basically like, everybody's important. Swear to God, for whatever reason, I'm up at 11 o'clock. I kid you not, at 11 p.m., the same night, a couple hours later, he's like, hey, Asia, I know that you're working really hard as a nail tech and you'll have a great career, but unfortunately, we can't have, your employment here is no longer welcome, type shit. And I'm like, what? Like, the fuck happened? So then I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I left some stuff there. Like, I just want to come get my stuff. No problem. Like, I'm not here to start no issues. I just want to get my stuff. And then he's like, so I get there and I'm like, what happened? Like, why am I all of a sudden getting fired at 11 o'clock p.m.? Like, what happened? Like, what? So then he's like, oh, well, this person is the shop manager. And the only reason why she's the shop manager was she was the first nail tech that came over when they opened up their business. So she basically got some privilege, whatever the case may be. So you have to look at her like shop manager. I'm like, okay, like, so at this point, I told you I'm in my separation. So I'm like, I gotta get my, like, I have to, like, okay, I'm not about to have beef with this girl. Like, I'm not about to. So I'm like, hi, like, I'm trying to be, cordial, like, hey. Meanwhile, They ain't saying shit to the other black chick. Like, I kid you not. Like, they was all on me, right? Okay, cool. So I'm like, ha, ha, ha. And then, mind you, it was so busy. I don't want the story to go on too long. But they were so busy. Like, they would, like, here, take this person, like, a line. Like, I kid you not. One time it was pedicures back to back. Like, I was just... to the, like, you know, like scooting to the point that I forgot about this one pedicure chair all the way down there. And I'm like, so I'm cleaning up all my other pedicure chairs, and they basically put all the stuff in the bowl. So from afar, you would thought that it was clean. The shop manager standing right fucking there next to the goddamn thing, and I'm thinking I'm cool. She's like, Asia, you forgot to clean this chair. Bitch, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. You can't help me out. Like, I literally just cleaned all these. You saw me clean all these chairs, and you... God, Joe, I can't stand you. So then, I'm like, okay, I'm really trying. Me and the wife, like, she's like, hey, I know you're trying. Like, here, do it like this. I'm like, okay, cool. Then, like, that day, I'm like, bitch, I'm talking to the other tech. I'm like, bitch, they about to fire me. I feel it. Like, I know they are. Like, but that's okay, because I got shop B lined up. Like, literally, I was about to go to shop B the next day. So I was like, I don't even give a fuck. Like, and they do acrylic there. Like, I do not care. Like, whatever. Kid you not. 2 hours later, he's like, hey, here's your paycheck. Have a nice life. And I'm like, okay. That's fine. I don't give a fuck. Like, you're dismissed. That was my experience at Shop A. Shop A was honestly the worst that I've ever encountered. Shop C was better. It was definitely better. But I would definitely say that one nail tech that gave me those 2 tips was like, she was very helpful, but I still couldn't do acrylic and stuff. So I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm over it. So I just left. That was really the only reason why. Like, I just feel like working in a shop was no longer for me. And I was like, well, why not just do it from home? So that was my experience working in a nail shop. I hope that this helps. Honestly, my advice, truthfully, if you're not like a beginner, or maybe even intermediate, like if you ain't got your cuticle game down packed for acrylic, I say go work in a white salon. The W, Charles Penn Zone. I don't know what's in your neck of the woods, but you know the white-owned salons. Like, go work in one of those. The Woodhouse. I don't know. Just don't. I feel like don't work in an Asian-owned shop, because I definitely feel like it's you gotta, or have clientele follow you over there. Something. I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Toodaloo.